Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and welcome to our Cybersecurity Diwas. We'll be starting in a short while. We'll wait for the next 2 minutes and then we will start. Okay, let's start. So we waited for 2 minutes. Let's start. Okay. I hope everything is or the PPT is visible and my screen is visible, right? Screen is visible and my okay, not audible. Team, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Pratik.
Ketan sir, we actually were waiting for a few more attendees to come in, so that is why we were waiting. So we'll start. We'll start. Just give me 1 minute and we'll start. Okay, great. So welcome everyone to our Cyber Jaagrookta Diwas, and this is our fourth Cyber Jaagrookta Diwas, which we have been observing from past 4 months. So I'll quickly cover what Cyber Jaagrookta Divas is and why it is important for us, and why we are doing this initiative currently, and on every Wednesday we are doing this session, and why it is important for you as well as for your organization. We'll cover certain things and what the circular says, and we have a trainer, Mr. Gaurav Kumar. He would be taking you through various case studies and like certain things which related to internet hygiene and what are the best practices you should follow online, right? And the he'll also cover one of the case studies also. So that is something which he would cover, and he's there with us to handle that in details. Okay. So quickly to give you a gist of what Cyber Jaagrookta Divas is, and uh, this would be the agenda for the day, and I'll quickly cover this. Okay, so the Ministry of Home Affairs had come up with a circular stating that all it is applicable to the entire uh, like organizations, all the organizations pan India, and it has been given by the Ministry of Home Affairs that the colleges, universities, organizations which come under their ambit should do a Cyber Jagrukta Divas on every Wednesday, right? And to empower the end user and give them knowledge about what cybersecurity is and give them awareness about cybersecurity, what are things are going around currently in terms of what are the threats, various aspects, right? So, and this can be done via seminar, workshop, quizzes, competitions. Again, this is one of the things which we are doing via webinar and empowering you with respect to the cyber jagrata viewers. Okay. Um, the ministry has given certain topics which needs to be covered over a period of 1 year, and with our almost 12 to 13 sessions. So we choose topics from this main topics only, and then we take the session on particular Wednesday, and then we try to explain you what exactly you can do as an organization or as an individual, right? So today we are going to cover a few points with respect to cyber hygiene, and of course, like as I said earlier, Gaurav would be covering a case study wherein there was a violation from one of the big social media companies, and how it violated the certain norms of that particular country, and it was fined, and obviously there are remunerations involved here, and it can go in millions of dollars, right? So that is something which we'll be covering. um, Okay, so quickly to take you through the cyber crime stats, why is it there and how we can take care of it. So cyber warfare, cyber fraud, cyber terrorism. Again, there are a lot of frauds which are going currently. Like you must have heard about the electricity scam, right? You must have got a message stating that okay, fine, your electricity bill is not reflecting in the our system, and you need to pay the bill by today EOD, otherwise we will be shutting down the electricity supply. So in the panic, obviously you'll be getting in touch with that particular number and then calling, etc., etc. That actually is a trap, right? So that one of the current scams which are going around is this electricity scam. And of course, there are various scams which these scamsters have been using in the previous attacks also, like as they would target specific like lotteries or particular bank or shows like KBC, etc. They take the since it is popular around the masses, it is obviously we fall prey to it, right? So that is something which we will have to be very careful when we are clicking a link or over an email or message or a WhatsApp. And I mean, it should, I mean, it should ring a bell before that. Okay, fine. Was this intended towards me? Did I sign up for this particular thing? Like, say, for example, you receive an WhatsApp message stating that Amazon voucher and you would be getting up to 70% off. Obviously, it is not. Um, you cannot resist that, right? We actually go and click it, but this is something which you will have to make sure that okay, fine, this is not something which I have to do. Okay, so things like that. So they are using this, and then obviously cyber terrorism. You must have heard about attacks which has happened over a period of time, like in the UK and the US, Ukraine, for that matter. Again, that is one of the things which is under the state-sponsored attacks which happens. That is why the cyber warfare and cyber terrorism comes into picture, right? Other cyber sex trafficking and sextortion usually I mean, is again now been because of the use of social media, of course. Like they have been targeting the hackers are targeting vulnerable and people who use social media, and then obviously they extort money. And recently, one of the cases wherein he was caught by the Noida police, right, for extorting money from a businessman, and it ran into crores, right? So that is something cyber crime is all about. I mean, the hackers are trying day in and day out, right? And obviously they are one step ahead of us. So these are the types of cybercrime, and this is the stats which usually, I mean, this is growing exponentially from past 10 years now, and it has been predicted that we are going to lose about $10.5 trillion across the globe. And this is, I mean, this can be in terms of ransomware, It can be in terms of business loss due to reputation. I mean, there are a number of cases which are happened in the past wherein they were attacked by ransomwares, and obviously it took a toll on their share prices, and obviously the pricing came down, and it took a very uh, hard on the reputations as well as the earnings of that particular company, right? So this is something which we will be losing by 2025. It's around $10.5 trillion. It can be in any form. I mean, individual also losing money would be, and these are reported crimes. So there are a lot of crimes, cyber crimes, which are not reported because of a lot of things. I mean, one is very important, that is the reputation loss, because that could have a cascading effect on the entire image of that particular organization or that particular individual. So, so usually they don't report it, but since there are regulatory compliances and regulators which are now forcing the organization so that you should report the cybercrime at the earliest. So obviously there is a reputation loss, but willful disclosure of the attacks would not only help the organization but also help the other organizations which could be affected by the similar kind of a ransom attack or a phishing attack or any other type of attack. So it will obviously help the entire organizations and the community and also the cybersecurity experts, right? Because the hackers are evolving day in day out, and there are a lot of AI ML involved right now, and hence that is something which we have to take into consideration, right? So these are certain stats, and again, as we speak, there is an attack happening, right? Every 39 seconds there is an attack happening, and ransomware is again happening. So this is something which we have to be very careful. This, I mean, this totally cannot be 100% sure that okay, fine, we are immune to all this attack, but this happens, and this happens because of a lot of things associated with it, right? So we have to take care of that. So we'll cover how to not fall prey to it, and what all cyber practices we should do, the cyber hygienes we should practice over a period of time, and policy procedures which we usually implement. That how we do. I think Gaurav will be able to take us through the journey, right? So for today, we are going to cover internet ethics. This will cover the entire part of how to use the internet, like when you are using internet in a public place like airport, railway, how the identity, usually the hacker does social engineering and your identity theft is performed, and what all, I mean, obviously at the back end there is a lot of social engineering happening, a lot of obviously the social engineering takes more than, in case if he want to target you, it will take more than 6 months, 9 months, can be up to 1 year also. They are very patient in doing that, right? So again, cyberbullying, it's very common in these days because a lot of social media use has been there, and obviously cyberbullying can lead to sextortions, etc., etc. That is something, and a lot of suicides have been happening in the teenage group, and so that is why it is very important for us to inform the family as well as our colleagues or friends who can be vulnerable to all this particular part, right? Security threats, social media, again, internet governance, best practices. This is, again, we'll take a deeper dive when Gaurav covers everything, and then we'll have a good understanding of exactly what this exactly means, right? Okay, over to you, Gaurav, and you can share your screen. I'll stop presenting. You can share, and then later on, before you take the case study, we'll quickly take a short video and give them a live uh, thing as to how it you actually happens.
Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Yeah. Thanks, Pratik, for the brief introduction, and I welcome everyone for this webinar for Jaagrookta Diwas. So, as mentioned by Pratik, that these are different topics which we are going to discuss, like internet ethics, online privacy. You have your cyberbullying, the different social media threats. All these we are going to discuss in today's webinar. So let's start with the introduction. So when we talk about ethics, so ethics are just a group of moral principles or like some codes of conduct, like to exactly know what is right or wrong, or you can say what is good or what is bad in human behavior, and it actually uh, help you in taking a better decision. So when you talk about ethics, these guide individuals as well as the different companies and corporates in their behavior and how they can distinguish between what is right and wrong. Because ethics, in some way, they influence individuals and organizations from doing something wrong or right. So when we talk about internet ethics, these are basically rules as well as guidelines which help you make a good choice and even behave in a responsible way when you use the internet. So these are similar to rules as well as different values which we actually do in real life. But here we are talking about the specifically about the behavior which is you are doing online or online behavior. So because internet ethics regulates the behavior on the internet, so it actually includes different variety of issues like privacy, security, then you have responsible usage of technology as well as intellectual property. So when you talk about internet ethics, these address the ethical challenges or right challenges which are posed by the internet, and some of the challenges with regards to internet is basically collection of data, usage of personal data, sharing or spreading of false details or information, and even there is basically stealing of information or stealing of sensitive information, and uh, stealing intellectual property, all these things. So this is basically there's a really real need to understand what behavior is right and what behavior is wrong, how internet users should behave. Right. So internet ethics are very important. So as you can see on the slide, it's written respecting the other's privacy, verifying the information, safeguarding the intellectual property rights, try avoiding spreading of rumors or some sort of harmful information which can harm or which can basically offend some other users on the internet, all these things. So when you talk about what things should be included in the what things come in the internet ethics, is basically all these are points like you should protect your own privacy and other users privacy, and you can do this by not sharing the details or personal information without that person's information. Be You should be responsible with the information which you are handling or which you are basically dealing with, or you should not spread any information which you are not sure that is the valid or verified information. You should be respectful and very kind to others, and you should always think that if you were on the same position, how you should feel if somebody has not respected your privacy or has been disrespectful to you. So you should be very mindful to your own safety as well as security, and you should do this when you behave responsibly when you are using the internet, and you should always treat others how you want yourself to be treated. So this particular thing applies even in real life, just like we never wanted we should never do a behavior which we don't want others to do with ourselves, right? So these are again very important when you are surfing online, or you are doing some sort of communication online, or you are interacting with any one on the internet. And you should always check before basically sending anything, or before clicking on the send button whenever you are sending any type of information or any email or any other details online to anyone. So you should be very careful about these things. So these are nothing but internet ethics. So if you look about there are certain commandments which are related to computer ethics, and these are also applicable to internet ethics. So these are that you should not use computer and internet to harm other people. You should not use computer and internet to basically in order to disturb or interfere with other people's work. You should not use computer or internet to steal any information on any other important details. You should not use computers and internet in order to look into someone else files or folders or other pieces of information. And you should not use computer and internet for any stealing or copying of some proprietary software for which you are not even paying or for which you don't have any subscription. So these are the things which should be these are the uh, 10 commandments you say for computer as well as internet ethics. So when we talk all about these internet ethics, and let's say if there is lack of these ethics, so what will happen? So there will be no more number of cyber crimes will be happen. So there will be as an increment in the number of cyber crimes. There will be more issues related to privacy. There will be things like cyberbullying and online harassments, and all these things will happen if there are no ethics we will be followed, or there's no such guidelines are present there. And let's say if you have some internet ethics which you are basically following, so there will be some good impacts of that are basically you will be having more safety of your data. You will basically respect the privacy of others. You will have a decrease or reduction in the false information circulation. You will basically avoid misusing any information. So these are the things which are really important when you talk about internet ethics and internet hygiene. So these should be followed, and you should always respect other person's privacy. So otherwise, there will be a lot of issues which can take place, and again, those will have their own consequences. So when you have internet ethics, it again increase the trust in the what other people are sharing and what exactly you are dealing with online. And again, it will there will be no miscommunication also. So these are the things which are quite important.
Yes, Gaurav, just to add one point. So, like you mentioned here, that there will be we should follow certain ethics, and there are things which we, in case if we don't follow or you start abusing the internet in first place, obviously there are laws and laws of the land which could be used, and you'll fall. I mean, obviously.
In a
In
legal
the
trouble, yeah.
yes, in the legal triple. Pratik, we have a question that the screen is not seen. Okay, I mean, I don't know. Is there a problem on the sharing because I can see the screen?
Yeah, the screen has been shared.
Okay, fine, great. Okay. Yes, Gaurav.
Okay, let's proceed. Okay, when we talk about privacy or online privacy, is basically online privacy is how individuals are basically able to control their own personal information as well as any other piece of information or detail from any type of unauthorized access, unauthorized disclosure, or misuse when they are using the internet, right? So privacy or online privacy is quite important because when you have online privacy, it helps you in protecting your personal information from any type of misuse or fraud or identity theft and all. And it also helps you in maintaining the confidentiality of the information. That information may be a sensitive information like financial details or personal health records or any other information which is sensitive to that particular individual or to that particular corporate or organization. Again, when you talk about another important is importance of online privacy is it basically maintain the privacy of online activities, and it will also prevent organizations from tracking as well as collecting your personal data without proper consent or without proper permission or without knowing the individuals whose information is being collected. So even it helps you to helps individuals to control the sharing of their own personal information. So there are different ways. Some threats which are mentioned on the slide is password reuse, oversharing of information on social media, social security vulnerabilities, data breaches, and all. So these are the some threats which are there for which exist for online privacy. So if you reuse your passwords, if and they some one of the website got compromised or one of the application get compromised and you are using the same password for other sites, then again it will be a issue for you. And if you are basically, this thing happens a lot of people do overshare their information on social media, and they share a lot of details with this shouldn't suppose to be sharing on the social media. This again is creating an issue for their own protection of their online privacy. Then data breaches, again, if there are any data breaches, they basically disclose a lot of details about that particular individual, and again these are again being shared into some other forums which from which the attackers can take advantage. So think like you are basically so basically people don't have any idea what is the importance of their data, whatever the data, personal data or any other data which they are sharing online. So these have some sort of importance to the attackers. So these data, your data is being sold in online black markets, and these are being shared, and these are basically being collected by attackers, and these are being shared to whom it is being of some sort of concern. So the online privacy, needs to be taken care. So when you say, let's say for example, you are posting some important documents online. So I remember one such case when this COVID-19 came, and this COVID vaccines were being distributed to the audiences, and they were posting their certificate of COVID-19 vaccination certificate on social media like WhatsApp and Facebook, and they forget to mask or just hide the ID which they have provided, like Aadhaar or some other identifier they have provided. Now they don't know that these are basically going online, and you never know whoever takes the advantage of those details. So you can think of like one information can be linked to your different details, and it can be fetched to find out more details like your email or your favorite media platform which you use, or the more you are basically the more you are engaged on a particular platform or a particular time. So these things should not happen. So what you need to see what information is basically you are getting you what information you're posting it online or sharing with somebody else. So that depends the impact or how your online privacy will get impacted. Then you somehow something happened, your data got breached, or your one piece of information got leaked, or it been given to some other person on the net, and you will think like how that person got access to my information. I have not shared this information with anyone. So these things happen. You don't even realize like you have given away these piece of information or at some other moment of time. So when I said about password reuse, so this is actually one of the main reason of having a lot of data breaches, because a lot of people have a very bad habit of using the same password on multiple sites, thinking like the attacker will not think like that, or they will be using some very weak passwords or very easy passwords, assuming that nobody uses those passwords. So if you just check what are the weak passwords in last 3 or 4 years, you'll find this like 123456 or and QWERTY 123. These are some of the very common passwords which are there, which are used by people. And when you talk about security vulnerabilities, again, it's not only thing which is due to your carelessness can happen. Even the platform which you are using, that can also breach your privacy. So one such scenario I able to recall for once I was talking to one of my colleague. He said that his friend was talking about one of the application using which you can basically watch the newly released movies for free. And when my colleague asked what's the name of the application, so that application was not available on the Play Store. So my colleague's friend asked him to use some sort of sharing application like Share It or Zender in order to take that application, which was not available on the Play Store or App Store, and then that particular application can be used to watch those movies for free. Now these things should not happen. You should not trust all these applications or these untrustworthy sources in order to uh, fulfill your task or whatever your purpose is. Like in this example was watching free movies. So as I was talking about, these contain a lot of vulnerabilities. It's not like that the genuine platforms does not contain security vulnerabilities. Security vulnerabilities are there for every platform, and every day there are a lot of vulnerabilities which are getting discovered. So you need to make sure that you keep a track of what are the different platforms which you are visiting or using, and if there is an update, or if you are using an application for that platform, or you are basically using any application to share your information or something. If there is an update or if there is a vulnerability, then look for an fix or patch. If not, then look for an alternative. So there are different privacy violations which happen, because that will basically make you more aware about the different things. So I remember that there was one of the case where the Zoom actually provided data to third party users without the users knowledge. So this happened I think around in 2020. So this was basically happened using a subscription based tool that Zoom offered their customers, with to in order to help them with their marketing requirements. So the in that way the data got shared to third parties, and without the user's knowledge, that it basically is a breach of privacy. It should not happen. Then there are cases where attackers or hackers have dumped some confidential data to some forums, and even one of the social media giant called Facebook have been fined for data harvesting. So these are the cases which have violated the privacy of the users, and it has basically impacted the users in a different scenarios. So it depends on what type of data is being shared and how many times it's been shared. So these should not be done, and for that you need to make sure that you take some necessary steps to make sure that you didn't fall for the particular breach, or you should not be a victim of privacy violation. So you should make sure that you should do not share any information online which you don't think is quite necessary. You should not overshare your information. You need to make sure that you are sharing the information with the verified personal or person or any site. So you should be very well verify the other person as well as entity before sharing the information. You should again, one more thing you can do is you can secure the devices. So as I said, you need to apply the patches, you need to fix the vulnerabilities for any softwares which you are using. So it's not like that it's always gonna done from the other end. It may be happen through your end also, because you are being not careful about the things which you use. You should make sure that you review all the policies which are related to privacy carefully. So know a lot of people don't do this. So if you go nowadays to any site, they basically show that we collect all these information. You have the option to opt in or opt out for sharing of your information, and this is how we collect information. These are the things which we're gonna do. So you should read through policy those privacy policies, and you should use some browser extensions which are used for cookie blocking, and you should basically not select the option of app tracking and all that. So and you should be very careful where you are clicking on which link or on which particular page when that page is redirecting you. So all these measures should be taken care. So you should at least go through the privacy policies which are being mentioned by those sites, because from some time back it's been mandatory. So they will, you will go to any site, they'll say we have updated our terms and policies, please review all these policies. So as a end user, we do not do this, but we should properly check this, what this site is collecting and what they are going to do with that particular data. Next is online identity. Yes, this is one of the very interesting things. So a lot of cases of identity theft is being in a rise. So when you say about identity, is basically a social identity which is actually created by a user on any online platform or communities, and various details can be present. Some of the examples are given on the slide, like name, date of birth, hobbies, interests, preferences, address. So so if you see on this slide, there's a diagram, act fast to protect your good name, how thieves will misuse your identity. So there are different ways how they're going to use it. Different motivations are there behind using or misusing your identity in order to do some sort of malicious act or some sort of other activities. So you see there are basically credit card fraud or phone or utilities fraud, bank fraud, then government documents or benefit frauds, all these are there. So when you talk about identity theft, is basically stealing someone's personally identifiable information like name, address, email address, telephone number, and other, and basically using that identity in order to commit some crime or do some other activities. So when you talk about personally identifiable information, so PI is any data which is used to identify any person individually. So let's say, for example, your name is being used to identify you. So that will be considered as a PII or personally identifiable information. So every piece of information about you, like your name, address, residential address, phone number, or any other detail, is part of your identity. So what attackers do, they basically perform social engineering and they try to collect more and more information about the victim, and then they try to do some sort of malicious activities or they try to do a crime, and with more proper and accurate information they can do it very well. So the PII is of very important or very high value to any attacker. So there are certain ways using which the attacker may or can steal your information, like phishing or using through social networking sites. So social networking sites are the best tool or one of the good tools, I can say, for harvesting anybody's information. And I know there are certain security measures being implemented, like they have locked the profile picture, they have so only friends can see their persons, or friends of friends can see their details, but not everything is fully secured, I say. So let's take an example of that, locking the feature of profile, but still you cannot download that picture, but you can take a screenshot, right? So, and not a lot of people actually use those features. Few people do. I do agree that few people do use those features, but not everybody. So, other ways are dumpster diving or like using details from public computers and data breaches and all that. So if you are using some public computer or cyber cafes and you are not basically, sometimes you the account is not getting logged out, the other person sitting on the same PC, they can find your details. So there was a data breach happened some time back. So it basically, in that, around 144 million Americans were affected, and the different personally identifiable information which got stolen were date of birth, credit card numbers, telephone numbers, social security numbers, driving license numbers. All these basically happened in one of the previous breach. So these breaches again contribute to identity theft, and there are different types of identity theft. It's not any only the PII. So it's basically financial identity theft, medical identity theft. There is a child identity theft happen, and a lot of different types of identity theft is basically are quite common. So if you check the stats about the identity theft, you will get a lot of more idea. I'll just give you a brief on that. So this is basically a report talked about identity theft as per the age, and this it says the 19 and age between 19 and under. So these are the cases of identity theft, and identity is quite common. So in as per the statistics, the number of cases of identity theft are quite rising. The more than 11,000 data breaches have contributed to identity theft, and the account takeovers have been in rise up to 10 or 15% just because of identity theft, and even cases of related to identity theft got increased during the pandemic, where the attackers were trying to find more and more details about the victims, because a lot of screen time and a lot of online activities got increased, and that's why it gave a rise to a lot of identity theft attacks. And the these are most common, especially in the US. If you check the stats or details online, so identity theft scams are quite common in the US, and it also happens in India. It's not like that it only happens in US. And one of the main thing is the social media. People using social media, or the different users of social media, are a greater risk of identity theft, because they put a lot of details about their identity. So I still recall some time back, in a case we found that somebody actually uh, posted a poll on Facebook that tell us your favorite color so that we can tell you which celebrity you resemble. So it's they have basically kept a particular color with the name of the celebrity. So in order to find out the um, favorite celebrity of the users, or basically trying to do a poll in order to promote a particular agenda, or finding more details about the victims, and people often fall for this trap. So if they will say my favorite color is red, so it will resemble to a particular XYZ celebrity. And as I said, there's a child identity theft, so even children are also on a threat of identity theft. And as per the survey, like 1 in 10 or 11 identity theft victims, they don't report this. So that's the problem. As if those are not reported, then no stricter controls needs to be will not be implemented and all that, and it will basically not be creating a sense of awareness in order to how to deal with these things. So and these are happens because a lot of personal information and other details or identity related information is basically getting exposed online. So sorry. So there are ways using which you can basically prevent identity theft. You should always make sure that you don't post any personal data or personally identifiable information online. You should make sure that you always share very limited piece of information about you, if necessary, because you should be knowing what you can share and what you should not share. And you should always make sure that you don't overshare your any information, like personal, financial, or any other information through either email or on a phone call, because nowadays this phone call things is going to happen is happening a lot. You are getting a phone call and says you are offered a being a credit card, and we require these details, and they will tell you some actual details about you, and they will ask you to basically share the details on WhatsApp. So you should not do that. You should tell them that they should send an email, and of course they will not be having an actual email of the bank. So they will ask you to share the details on the WhatsApp, like your Aadhaar card details or any other details and all that. And you should always not click on any links which you are not aware of, or which you find suspicious, or the emails which doesn't come from the known senders, because these can again happen through phishing, or with the help of emails. You will get emails like you have opted for a subscription, the price of the product have gone reduced, you can basically order this particular product and all that. So you should make sure that you uh, check your mail properly. You should not open any unknown email. You should basically also review your bank statements regularly. You should make sure that you follow a secure disposal policy. So sometimes you have your personal information on paper. You should make sure that you properly dispose of by shredding or by some other manner using which the information becomes should not be retrievable in any form. So, and you should always make sure that you set or create strong passwords for and different passwords for different accounts. Again, you can use some password managers by checking the quality and number of security measures which that password managers use in order to make sure that you manage all your passwords. Again, you should implement a multi-factor authentication, and you should properly wipe your devices before handing it or handing those devices to somebody else, so that the data should not get retrievable from those devices. So these are certain measures which you can take in order to make sure that you should not be a victim of any type of identity theft, because this can have a severe impact on you and it will be have a different consequences.
Okay.
Okay.
Gaurav, before you go ahead, I'll just like to address one of the questions which we have received. So, so the data which you said that this is 2021. So actually, the report is for the entire year. So the report for 2022 is not yet out. We'll be soon getting the report. So this will be on the similar lines only.
Yes,
So that is why the data is of 2021. So it is a yearly report. That is why you see uh, the snapshot of that. So
correct.
in case if you want a live report or a report specific to the country where you are in currently, you can refer to the National Crime Report or the National Database, which has been released by the Ministry of Home Ministry, and we can surely give that stats. So this is an overall specifically to identity theft. This is based on the survey which that particular organization does, and that is why this particular is particularly is of that year. I hope that would clear out the doubt why we are using the data set of 2021. Yes, Gaurav, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pratik. Okay, let's move to the another slide where it talks about cyberbullying. So this is another issue which is quite common. So it's the bullying that takes place using electronic mediums like cell phone, computers, or tablets, where what the attacker or what the culprit does is basically they try to harm or trouble the victim by posting or some rumors or some bad comments about the victim or some sort of forged images or videos or some sort of gossips on social sites or any other application. So cyberbullying is another serious threat or I say issue which the world is facing. So because nowadays everything is getting digital and people are more uh, uh, basically interacting online rather than offline. So it happens mostly over social media through text or some sort of instant messages or some other forums, and it basically involves sending some harmful or meaningful content to in order to defame the victim. And many times this particular type of activities or this type of content is shared anonymously, which will again harm the victim. So these are the some stats which are mentioned on the slides, like 1 in 4 teenagers have been bullied on social media. And as I said, social media is one of the place where a lot of cyberbullying happens. And victims of the cyberbullying are 1.9 times more likely in order to commit suicide. And the 60% of the children with online harassment suffer mental issues because they were not able to deal with those issues, or they have not reported this to their parents or guardians, or they didn't know how to handle those things. And India has the greatest number of cyberbullying cases in the last year 2022, and more than 50% of the youngsters do not report about cyberbullying because of the fear of targeting again. So these are the things which are happening, and the a lot of even students are experiencing cyberbullying, and they are not reporting it to either their parents or guardians, and to anyone who can help them. And as per one of the study, even more than 35% of the cases happen through Instagram, because nowadays Instagram is on the trend, and everybody, even I'm seeing people creating Instagram profiles for their 2-year-old child, and they are basically posting their children's data online and all that, and then they are getting some bad comments about their child or anything. So these things are quite common. And when you talk about cyberbullying, so there is not most of the people, not only students and youngsters, even the adults are also getting targeted for cyberbullying. So there's something, there was a case some time back. So the public figures and the celebrities, even the people, they were getting target of cyberbullying, and harassed. They were getting harassed online on social media or something. So it reminds me of one of the case called Blue Whale Challenge, which basically attracted the attention of a lot of audience. So what used to happen is basically this challenge was named as Blue Whale Challenge. What used to happen is this was an online challenge which basically spread through social media, and it include a couple of tasks which basically was to self harm and to do some sort of activities which will harm the victim only. And these are being done by the victim only, because the attacker or the person who have given the challenge, they were basically giving the challenges based on the task, like you have to do this and all that. So a lot of school students were being targeted for this particular challenge, and especially the children who are quite not very good in the communication, or who used to remain alone, who don't wanted to share, or who are not that much being in a uh, open to the group or their friends in the school. So these people, these kind of audiences being targeted by this Blue Whale Challenge, and and they used to basically send this challenge or task to the kids by posting that it's, if you have goods, or if you are really a daring person, you try doing this and send us a picture of that. So there were cases while they one of the school teacher even have seen a shark being drawn with blade or something on the hand of the student. All these so this was big again, basically case of cyberbullying or online harassment, where they were basically targeting the school childrens and kids. And then the government got the attention, and they basically asked parents to even provide some sort of guidance to their children, and to spend times with their children in order to understand what issues they are facing. Because as I said, these were targeting the children who were facing issues in life, who were basically alone, or whose parents are working, and that child does not get the time to interact with their parents or the family members, or who used to get worried about the studies in the schools. So these things were happening, and uh, these were quite common. So this Blue Whale challenge got quite famous at that time. Like it was around 2020 that it came to notice in India, but it was quite earlier also present. So it was basically from, I think it came from the first case came from Russia. So when you say you don't need to be a victim of cyberbullying, so what you should do? So first and foremost, you should not be feel guilty about that you've been bullied online, or you should not feel bad about this to telling to your parents or your family members or to your friends or anyone who you think can help you or who understands you. So you should not react and you should not respond to some sort of bad or those obscene messages or pictures which are being shared to you. You should not take those comments very personally, and you should make sure that you should not reread those comments. And if you think like you found out that you are getting bullied, and you should try to somehow take the evidence by recording or by taking a snapshot and then reporting it to the cybercrime portal or to the necessary people which you find which help you in order to report this. Because see, if you don't report this, it will again be a kind of encouragement to these attackers or to these people who are doing all these things. So you should take a screenshot as a proof, or you should record it. You should block, you should delete, like if you are getting a lot of emails, you should make sure that you delete those emails after get taking the screenshot and other details. You should tell this to your parents or guardians and you seek advice from them. And these are the things which you can do in order to make sure that you can cope up or you can recover from any cyberbullying act. So you should block that person too. That is another way of helping yourself in case. And you should not respond immediately. This thing is quite common. People often respond very quickly to the strangers in order to be very, because they are very curious to in order to know who is the another person. So let's say you are a male and you get a email from some female person, and some very exciting subject is written, or you might get certain other different messages which might be of interest to you. Because see, whatever happens through proper reconnaissance. A lot of information is being gathered before reaching out to you, so that you can get fall for this or you can fall into particular trap. Another thing is, I was talking about earlier the online privacy. I told about the social media. So you should not use all those check-in features, and you should not share your exact location on the platform so that nobody can even follow you, or if somebody is trying to stalk you. So these things can be prevented. So these things should be taken care. And if you know somebody, or if you're one of your known acquaintance or someone is getting bullied, you should report this to the cybercrime portal, and you should make sure that these things can be handled properly. The other security threats which are there is, these are the threats: phishing, spear phishing, whaling, malware. So these are quite common, and these are happened every day. And you should, the only thing which you can do is you can be very careful. You should not be in a hurry to click on any email or to forward such email or to open unknown emails and then being landed to some malicious sites. And these are quite common. So a lot of malware attack happens because of phishing. So what happens is the recipient is actually tricked into clicking some particular malicious link, which can basically either install some sort of malicious software onto the system, or it can basically freeze the system as a part of ransomware attack or something, for getting your information. So it's one of the very easy and most common way for targeting any end user. When you talk about spear phishing, the difference between spear phishing and phishing is, in spear phishing, the attacker targets the known audience instead of a large audience which they don't know. And there are a lot of cases which were happening. So in one of the recent case, there was related to this Microsoft Office Suite 365. This was a phishing campaign which actually targeted the Office 365 users, where they was mentioned that there was a security update or upgrade, and it basically was trying to trick victims for providing their login creds and other important details. Even a lot of phishing scams were quite common, and it got increased from the COVID 19 pandemic. So people were getting emails which were like trying to be assuming it is coming from some healthcare organizations, and the fake vaccine information before the actual vaccine came into the picture, and the other some sort of relief schemes being provided to the people who are suffering from COVID and all that. So what happens in these cases is that you, as as a person, you get a email, and it looks like it is coming from a trusted source, but it is not. It's basically a fake email, or it's an email to trick you in order to either give away your information, or it will basically redirect you to some other malicious page. So if you see this, so whenever an email comes, you always properly check the sender's email. You should see you don't have a generic greeting. So if someone sending you email, they're definitely gonna address you with your name, obviously. So it says here, not an Amazon email address. Note that the missing A in Amazon. So I think might not be properly visible, but there's a missing A in Amazon. Then again, it says to confirm your identity with us, click the link below. So whenever you get a link, always a simple and a best practice is just mouse over on that link, and on the bottom left of the screen, you will get the actual link. And always make sure that if it is redirecting, even if you got redirected to some other site, always make sure that you check the URL properly. So that will help you, and even also the lock icon and even the local. So it will be possible like the website will be a lookalike. There is another image on the slide where it says the employee of a small business receives a suspicious email and with an attachment, and does not open it. So later the employee receives a phone call from the attacker pretending to be a vendor or supplier. So please open, and asking the person to open the email. The employee opens the email, the attachment, and as well as the attachment, and it basically installs some malwares on it, and the employee logs into the account, and this is how the attacker got access to the details of the user. So these things are quite common. And when you talk about whaling, whaling is basically targeting the top level management of the organization. So it quite happens a lot of times the top level management gets an email that your Office 365 subscription is gonna expire, or is already expire. Click here to renew your Office 365 subscription and all that, or any other uh, subscription which that organization might be using. And when you talk about malware, so there are different types of malware. These are the again other threats when you are surfing online, or when you are dealing with any online application. So if you see, this is how what it says: the malware slows down the network. It basically hijacks your computer. It tries to steal some confidential data. It shows you displays message that your system is infected with virus. Click on this button to remove the virus or malware. So don't fall for that trap. So that's quite common. It will say that your phone has detected virus or malware or trojan or something, or adware. Click on the button to remove it. So it's not that much simple, just like how it looks. So when you talk about identifying phishing emails, so these are the some pointers which will help you. So you should not believe what you see everything. So, and you should always check for grammatical and spelling mistakes. There will be definitely some grammatical or some sort of mistakes which is not possible in a professional email or professional communication. Do not click on suspicious embedded links and attachments. You should not give up sensitive information. Always make sure that you tally the sender name, email, as well as the signature. And there is something called urgent. There's some sort of urgency will be there, or some sort of excited news will be there, like get an iPhone with a or huge discount of 20,000, sale on XYZ platform, or like this. So it says beware of urgent or threatening language in the subject line, because that subject line makes or convinces the user to open that email. So it says rely on common sense. You should always rely on common sense if whenever you want to deal with the phishing emails. So these are the things which you should make sure that you take care while identifying any phishing emails. Okay, with that, let's move ahead. So these are some quite social media security concerns which are quite I've talked about few of them earlier, like sharing of sensitive information. You should never share any sensitive information on social media. It does not have any sense of sharing sensitive information. I've seen people posting their newly bought laptop with the details of the specifications along with the accurate pictures, and they are sharing this online, even on LinkedIn also. Even on LinkedIn also, they are doing this online. So you should not share any sensitive information on any social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or anything. Social engineering, yeah, social engineering is basically a technique to gather the information from the victim by manipulating them, by convincing them that you are just, and by talking to them, like it may be a possible, like you will get a call and you will say that you have been, you have opted for a subscription on this XYZ e-commerce site, and we have the product now. Earlier it was in out of stock. You can get that product, and next if you order that in next 30 minutes, then you will get the discount. Other will you will not get the discount. You might get a phone call that your uh, we are going to share. So let's say, for example, you are working in your organization and your organization has given a contract to some other organization to perform any activity. So the other person can basically pose himself as the one of the senior member, and he may speak in a louder voice and say that I have not got your details or contract. Kindly share me on this email ASAP so that we can move ahead or we can proceed with the engagement. So these are the things which should not happen. So social engineering is one of the very key factor in any of the attack. Frauds and scams are quite common a lot of nowadays. So I was just reading few days back, a lot of people actually got laid off from a lot of organizations. So there were fake job postings online, and people were basically targeted based on the fake jobs, and they were saying that you will get a remote job or work from home jobs with this much of packages and all that. Even there are other scams which are happening through social media. So like there was one of the scam where you will get an order, the person will call, the delivery boy will call you and say, sir, you have an order. So you will go and you will say, I don't have an order. So okay, that person will say, okay, if you don't have placed any order, please cancel it. He will ask you to speak to a fake call center executive, and then they will share OTP on your number. Once you share the OTP, you some through some means, they will basically try these creating these scams. So these are quite common. So attackers are finding new ways in order to trick the users in a way, giving information or clicking links or sharing other details and all that. So again, others are phishing attacks, tracking locations, even the data breaches. So when tracking locations, you should make sure that which apps are basically asking for locations and when, and even the data breaches. So these are quite common nowadays. Uh, Internet governance, yeah, internet governance is basically these are rules of processes which determines how the internet operates and is managed. So there are different frameworks, and the purpose or main goal of internet governance is to make sure that there is a free flow of information by making sure that the rights of the users are protected over the internet. So there are different policies and regulations being developed for privacy as well as cybersecurity and intellectual property, for which the normal end user is not aware of. So you should make sure that you try keeping yourself up to date and you follow internet ethics and other security measures to make sure that you are being secured from all these online threats or the risk which are which exist nowadays. Pratik, we can move ahead to the video.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Gaurav. So before
Stop
moving on to
sharing.
the case study, so I'll quickly take so whatever Gaurav had discussed right now about social engineering and how the attacks are, and how exactly they take advantage about the information which we put on the social media. So we have a short around 2 minutes video wherein all the things which we have discussed right now, you can link that, and then you can then Gaurav will take us through a case study wherein the because of the governance and of course the violation of the privacy of the customers, there was a fine levied and how it is important for us also. Right. And of course, as today is the budget session, the budget session, the our honorable minister have also announced that there will be a data protection bill coming in this particular session, right? So we can see how it goes, and obviously it will be in terms of protecting our personal identity information, which Gaurav had discussed earlier, right? So quickly moving on to the video. Just let me know once it is visible. I'll include the sound as well. Just let me pull. Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Just let me know if the sound is visible on the WhatsApp chat, please. Sound is audible or no? Please let me know.
Social engineering. But I was curious, what can a hacker with serious coding skills do?
Well, DEF CON is the world's biggest hacking convention. It's hacking everything, hacking social, hacking hardware, hacking software, hacking various systems.
I asked Dan Tentler, a well-known security researcher, to turn all of his firepower on me.
I did get into quite a number of things that I found.
So what were the first things you did? How did you start hacking me?
I quickly found your Squarespace blog and had an idea. Basically what I did was created a bogus Squarespace site and sent an email to you, a fish asking you to go to this website, run this certificate installer.
And I did it because
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
So once you ran that, it gave me access to your computer, and I created several fake pop-ups that looked like system pop-ups that would ask you for your credentials.
You didn't even have to have my passwords.
No, you gave them to me.
I gave them to you.
Yeah. So I stole your 1Password keychain.
And 1Password is where I store all my other passwords. So effectively
And
by
your social security number and your Amex stuff and all your stock trading and bank information. I can send email to everyone in this room as you. I am you right now if I wanted to be. If my evilness is working correctly, it should actually be taking pictures of your desktop and pictures through your webcam every 2 minutes. And I have been watching you for about 2 days now. In
Oh my
coffee
God.
shops, at your mom's house, on a plane. Here's you editing stuff. There's you like.
oh my god,
looking
so this
nervous.
is literally
Every 2 minutes.
through my webcam.
Yeah, through this guy.
How badly could you have messed up my life?
I could have made you homeless. I could have made you homeless and penniless.
How?
Like,
How would you make me homeless?
Like I have control of your digital life in its entirety. I have all your credentials. I have all your access to all your financial information, all your work information, all your personal information. I can pay people with your bank account or your Amex account. I am you. I can fully impersonate. Like, the only thing I couldn't doctor would be like your fingerprints.
This is like as bad as it gets.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's bad.
So it turns out that Dan Tentler is very good at his job. I mean, he hacked the hell out of me. He got everything. I mean, frankly, I want to take my computer and throw it into the deepest part of the ocean, and I want to become a hermit, and I want to never touch a piece of technology again, because holy shit, that was everything. That was the keys to my entire life, and he just pulled them out of his pocket.
An employee.
Yes, Gaurav, you can share.
Okay.
So before okay, Gaurav start. So I hope we all could relate to what Gaurav had earlier discussed about the social media concerns, security concerns like social engineering, how the fraudster fish attacks, and then obviously tracking the locations and how he could take the passwords from his particular, obviously that password manager, and then obviously taking it through the entire history of his, right? And like what Gaurav had been discussing for past 1 hour, actually. So it was summarized in a quick video. Yeah, Gaurav, over to you.
Thank you, Pratik. My voice is audible and screen is visible, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we're going to discuss about this quick case study where the WhatsApp fined around 5.5 million euros, and this news is recent one around 21 or 22 January. So where this Data Protection Commission actually fined, which is the Irish Data Protection Commission, had fined around 5.5 million euros to WhatsApp because of violation of data protection laws. So basically, WhatsApp has violated the GDPR, which is General Data Protection Regulation rules, and it was regarding the processing of users' personal information. So the what the complaint or what was raised, basically there was this ignored the consent of the user. So this was submitted to this Data Protection Commission, and where the WhatsApp was not able to properly and clearly tell the legal basis of processing the personal data of the users as per GDPR, and they have violated the requirement, which is they have used forced consent for using the service of the WhatsApp for accepting the terms and conditions of the WhatsApp. So as per GDPR, there is a freedom given to the data subjects or the individuals that if they freely give their consent, then only you can take that consent as a legal basis for processing the personal data of the users. So this has been violated by WhatsApp. That's why this have been fined. And also earlier, WhatsApp have been fined for 225 million euros for breach of this transparency requirement for particular period of time, and they have not even taken the or implemented the corrective actions which the WhatsApp supposed to take after it has been brought into notice. So GDPR is quite popular, and they GDPR make sure that they know there's no violation of the GDPR requirements, and the data subjects have the users should have the right if they want to give the consent for particular uh, processing or not, and no requirement should be violated. With that, these are some best practices which are basically you should quite simple. I'll just quickly go through them. So you should keep your personal details private. You should log out after using any public systems or devices. You should definitely report for cyberbullying or any other online harassment which you think is happening. You should be very careful while providing your information. You should always check for hyperlinks. You should always use updated software, even the soft applications which you use on your mobile phones or any other devices, tablets, smartphones, smart devices, whatever devices you are using, like smart bands or anything. You should install applications only from trusted sources. As I given an example, do not install any application from any untrusted source, no matter how much important the content is or that particular app or activity is. And you should always keep yourself updated with the recent threats, because it does not matter how many updates you implement. It is of some important, I'm not saying, but if as a human you are not aware, you will get yourself into trouble. So you should always keep yourself updated with the recent threats. Okay, with that, let's open for a Q&A room if anybody has any questions.
Okay, we'll wait for 2 minutes. We'll see if we get any questions or no. In case if we don't, we can log off. Gaurav, you want to take that? Aman wants to know more about keyloggers and how it can be prevented.
Yeah, so basically, you should make sure that nothing suspicious or nothing.
Gaurav,
Uh,
yeah, it's
yeah,
your
okay, there was
screen has
some
been
issue.
shared. Your
Yeah,
screen has been shared. Yes.
yeah. So I was just saying about the keyloggers. So there are different types of keyloggers, like software keyloggers or hardware keyloggers. So you need to make sure that when you're talking about hardware keyloggers, nothing is suspicious or nothing different is being what do you say plugged into your system, whether you are using a laptop device or a desktop device. And when you talk about software keyloggers, you should always make sure and monitor your installed applications on your system as well as the browser extensions on your system. So that is a way you will basically track if there are any keyloggers on the system or not.
Also, if you can highlight how exactly the keyloggers are placed, or how does keyloggers come into the picture, if you can highlight.
Yeah, again, these things like you might get so some of the keylogger extensions got added to your browser if you are visiting some malicious sites or some other you are looking for some pirated or free softwares as these happens normally. So it gets installed and you are not aware. And a lot of people don't have a habit of checking what extensions they are using, and sometimes these also get installed when you are downloading or installing a particular application from untrusted sources. So these are some common ways.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait for another question. There is no questions as of now, right now. Any suggestion to remote password digitally? Okay. Any suggestions you want to give, Gaurav, to remember the passwords?
Yeah, you can use pass phrases to remember the passwords because see, whenever if I give you a task of creating a password, you will always think of your favorite character, like it may be a Avenger character or it may be a favorite superstar name, but you should not use this. Always make sure that because these are quite known to your friends and colleagues, and even you should not use the opposite one, like the celebrity which you hated, which you don't like the most. I'll not use the word hate, which you don't like the most. So you use first passphrase like I want to drink a cappuccino coffee. So which can cost $10. So this is basically using this kind of passphrases help you to remember the password because I do understand there are a lot of accounts with everybody with for which you are not able to remember the passwords, but you can always use passphrases. These are again recommended by NIST, and even Microsoft recommends that you should use passphrases.
Okay, great. Uh, okay. One more question from Mr. Raman is like website certificate. Sir, if you can elaborate on the, I mean, what website certificate, as in, is it related to the SSL certificate or any certification with respect to like be it your W3A as per the guidelines given by the government or something like that? Please, if you can elaborate the question, it would be helpful. Any suggestion to remove? Okay, this we already have taken. The remember password has been already taken care of. Aman sir, if you can just elaborate on the question. A kind of log should. Okay, HTTPS. HTTPS and HTTP. Gaurav, you want to cover on the protocols which usually the website uses, HTTP and HTTPS and SSL
Uh,
certification as well.
The SSL is a earlier protocol which is gonna use. Nowadays, SSL is not used, although SSL name is quite popular, so people often use it interchangeably with TLS. So the latest version of the TLS,
Yes,
which
yes.
any
Sorry,
website
my
should,
bad. My bad. DLS 3.0. Sorry, sorry.
yeah. So the TLS version 1.3 is the latest one, even 1.2 and 1.3. So whenever you are trying to see whether that application or website is basically using a latest version of TLS or not, you should always check for either it should be TLS version 1.2 or 1.3, and you should always check the certificate name to the domain name as well as on the certificate to which the domain to which certificate is issued, and it should not be an expired one. It should not be a self-signed one. So these are common things which you should check. And even you can check online on something called ssltest.com, where you can just type the name of the site and it will tell you whether which protocol TLS version it is following, and the other details about that particular protocol version in detail.
Okay, great. I hope that answers your question, sir. Okay. We'll take another. Any suggestion to save passwords digitally? Okay. Or there are password managers which you can use, and I don't know, probably without permission what to do. Yeah, Gaurav, there are two questions again. One is the password manager. I think you can address that also. And second question is a lot of many applications do not work properly without permissions. What to do? Okay.
Yeah, first in password manager, whenever you are looking for any password manager, just check that any recent vulnerabilities have been not discovered. You can just check, give the name on the search box and the space vulnerabilities, and you can check how those password managers securely store your password, and if there is a master password securely works or not. So I'll not say go blindly for any password manager. So it depends on different types of password managers. And the next question was app permissions. Yes, a lot of apps do not work, so they should not ask you every question. Like the contacts app should not, for any contacts related application, should not you ask you the access to camera and all. So you should always look for alternative, or that will be the best solution for looking an alternative app, or try denying. Sometimes if you deny the permission, they will work.
Also a new new options have come in with use that particular while using that app only. Use
Yes,
that
while
particular
using that
permission,
app.
right?
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
So you can opt for that in case if you want to use that particular app, you can use that option so that you can use the app also, and otherwise it is not tracking you or not using your information basically or harvesting your information when it is in sleep mode.
Just like location, while using the app,
Yeah,
it can use
location,
locations.
absolutely.
Other time it may be not, it will not use your location.
Okay. We are almost done. I think there is no question coming in, and time allotted for the Cyber Jaagrookta Diwas was done. We'll wait for another 2 minutes, or else we'll conclude. You can go into the presentation mode. Okay. So we'll wind up. There are no more questions here right now. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, everyone, for attending our Cyber Jaagrookta Divas. Okay. And one sec. Yeah. And we'll meet on our next Cyber Jaagrookta Divas, which will be 1st of March again. And we'll cover a new topic, and obviously you'll get the registration link and all the information related to it. We'll come up with a new topic. Till then, thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you on 1st March. Thank you, team. We can conclude.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone.